Right, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Welcome back to the number one podcast in the Valley. My name is Ray,
My name's Ephraim.
And I'm Sunny.
and this is another episode of Undecided.
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 We got a pretty good topic today. Ephraim, take us away.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
Like
let's
that.
give.
That was really good. That was really good. That was really
job,
good.
Ray.
That was really good. That was really good,
Oh my
Ray.
God. I was really nervous. I was fucking nervous.
That was really good. That was very fluent. All right, so today we're gonna get a little bit heated on our topic. This is something that, for some reason, a lot of people have a hard time like understanding, right? Or like even talking about.
Yeah.
It's the age difference in a relationship. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of creepy people out there that don't understand that sometimes age
Does
matters.
matter. Does
matters
matter.
very
Yeah.
much,
Yeah, it does.
and they should not go below a certain age.
Yeah.
And also, there's a lot of people that have issues with like young girls, like in their teens or like early 20s, dating hella older guys.
So, let's break it down. And I'll start. This is the thing. I think first and foremost, it's stupid that there is like a line, like there's an age.
Yeah,
Because there's not a difference between being 17 and being 18, biologically,
Yeah.
and even mentally. But I'll say this, because I know what you're thinking.
I was about to say that.
No. But it would be even more stupid if there wasn't a line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying? Because again, like people are like, "Oh, what's the difference between 17 and 18?" But there isn't a difference between 17 and 18. But it would just be even so stupid if there wasn't even a line to begin with. And I think also another thing about like the age of consent.
Yeah.
Like I think here in the United States, it's so normal for us to like understand that. But it's like one, you got to look at it in a couple ways. One, a lot of places in the world, like the age of consent is like as young as like 13.
yeah,
And two, it wasn't really that long ago, or it wasn't really that long ago that we really like had like an age of consent and really enforced it. Like if we went to like back when our parents were kids, like seeing a guy who's like 23 or not even 23, like seeing a guy who's like 32 marrying like a 16-year-old girl, like that wasn't that far fetched. You get what I'm saying? Like, and that's weird to think about.
yeah.
But that's literally how it's been for like the history of mankind all the way up until like the past, like I want to say like 20 years.
I'd say a little bit more.
A little bit. I mean like socially as people taking it serious. Because like again, like if a person got, if there was like, if you went back to like 19, I would say like 19 like 50, right? And
Yeah.
there was like a guy, you're going to a wedding and the groom is like again like 32 and the bride's like 16. Like I don't think people would find that weird. So like I wonder like what, like until what year did people start like saying like, hey, we shouldn't be doing
You mean
this?
like what clicked and people said and said, hey, this isn't
Yeah.
right.
This isn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, what year was like the age of 18 was like, oh, it's like you can do whatever you want, you know?
Well, I think that's always been a rule implemented.
has it
I
been?
just don't think like it's like kind of what Sonny's saying. It's like back in like older days, a lot of people, especially like with like a lot of people immigrating from other countries. In other countries, that's kind of like we're watching Sopranos, right?
Yeah.
In Sopranos in Italy, it portrays that older men are used to getting with younger women,
Yeah.
you know, and that's fine. I don't know how realistic that is, but I don't feel like it's far fetched if they're like portraying it in like a huge series like that. And it's not just that, but a lot of movies you see a lot of that happen.
Yeah.
So it's like other countries kind of have this like normalized where like older men can get with like younger women, and it's normal for them. But obviously for us in our generation growing up, if you're like even like in your 20s trying to get out of 17 or 16-year-old, it's weird, bro.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
that
it's
shit.
just weird.
It
You don't fuck with
depends
that.
too, though. I mean, it's more natural for like a older woman to get at a younger guy, but if a younger older man got at a younger woman, that looks kind of weird.
Nah.
I feel like it is.
I mean,
kinda that
it's
way.
like definitely weird, but that happens way more than a younger or an older woman getting with a younger guy.
I know, but I feel like socially, it just like looks worse, you know.
Well, I
'cause,
mean, it depends on how young the girl is. I mean, if you see a guy who's like 40 and he's with a girl that's like 33, like that's not going to be like
No, that's what I mean. Like, for example, like the age of
like a sugar daddy type shit.
yeah, like age of like 18, 19, getting with a guy that's
Like
over
50.
30, like for 30 or 40 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was like like the other way around. It was guy was 18.
I think that would be more weird because I don't ever see that.
Like you don't hear about it. I feel like
You don't
like,
hear about it. You don't see it.
happens, but that's why I personally feel like. I don't know. That's why I see it.
I just remember as a kid just fucking like watching like the news and seeing all these kids hook up their teachers and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the
I
fuck did
remember
that
that
shit
shit.
go down, bro? And some of them would be cute.
And then in the
too,
comments
bro.
and shit, like, say, why would you do that? Why would you say something? Like, all the guys in the freaking comment section were like, these kids are so dumb. If I was their age, I would have handled the situation so much.
Yeah, no, I think about that all the
kids'
time.
dream. That was my dream growing up.
But let's be real. Why is that every boy's fantasy to hook up with a hot teacher?
A teacher or like a friend's mom or like a tutor.
librarian.
It's like a woman in like authority.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
It's because like for the guys, it's kind of like, oh shit, like you kind of get like clout from doing that. From other guys, from other dudes, but girls don't get like clout.
I think for me, because I was like a huge on that. Like, that was like my thing. I remember the last 2 weeks of me being a senior, I was on the prowl. I was on the hunt.
You trying to slay somebody's mom?
No, not the homies moms and shit. I couldn't do that. But like a teacher and shit or like a tutor or some shit, definitely. I've always been like that. And I think for me, it was just like, I mean, it's one thing to have like someone your age be attracted to you, but like having someone who's older, like they have a different taste. Like they have they come from a different time. Like that means like not only are you attractive like within your generation, but like you're transcendent in generations.
Yeah.
And like people from other periods of time find you attractive for how weird that sounds. But you get what I'm saying? Like I like the attention that you would get. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And also like I think about like, you know, being spoiled and shit. Like that would be nice. Like, but as a guy from a female, because that shit doesn't happen as much as it happens with a guy to a female. You feel me?
Yeah, they don't get the same praise.
Yeah. Like I mean, it's not unusual to see a girl get spoiled by an older guy, but it's really unusual, or at least not as common, as to see a guy get spoiled by an older woman. Like that's some hard shit. I think it goes hard.
I think all of us know at least one guy that's had that. You know,
we do. Where's the camera?
we do.
We do. Everybody knows. Everybody knows who that guy is.
No, but it's but if you like you reverse it.
No, we know two. No, three. Three.
guys.
At least I know three.
Yeah,
I know three. Two of them been the homies, and then one of them was one nigga. Who was that one nigga, bro? He was like Latino and shit, and he would fuck anything.
Oh, we're not gonna say his name.
Don't say his name. You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
No,
you said at the same time.
We know
You know
this
what I'm
person.
talking about though?
Yeah. That was like the exception of not getting praise.
Oh no,
That was the
everyone was like,
exception of
yo.
not getting
I mean, the
praise.
thing is, like, if you're getting at like older women, like you have to make sure like they're like hot or like cougars, you know. But not like this guy got at everything,
bro.
anything that moves.
Holy shit, that nigga got at everything. Holy shit, that was
No,
funny.
but if you think about it though, like see how we're giving people praise.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you don't see that on like the girl side. Like if a girl finds out another girl is talking to an older man, whether she really likes him or it's just a sugar daddy, other girls just look at her like, damn, look at this hoe. You know, she's sleeping
I
around.
don't know.
At least from the girls I know that have been in that situation, because like let's admit, we know a lot of girls that have been in that situation.
A lot.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more common for girls to do that easily,
Yeah.
so that they can get like clothes and stuff like that. Sometimes they really do like the guy. Sometimes they do click with him. But for the majority of times that I know that girls have been getting at older guys, it's because they want to be part of the like club scene. They can get into the clubs.
Yeah.
They have the nicer cars. They can buy them. They can do
Get
all this
spoiled
shit. You know,
yeah.
just spoil the shit out of them.
Sugar baby. Yeah.
I just
exactly.
know that for that situation, for the majority of girls I know that have been in that, they got a lot of shit for that. They didn't get any praise.
But
I don't know.
I feel like it's like a generational thing too. It's like I feel like when like older women, they didn't have that. Like I feel like it is influenced by social media as well, and it's a newer generation because it's a lot easier for them to like go out there and portray their body and so on and so forth. Because I feel like when you're older and you didn't have that aspect of social media or just like that, because you have more connections, you have more people to talk to, and then you understand a little bit about how kind of like I like to say the movement of the social media kind of works.
Yeah.
So especially when you're like older, it's kind of hard for you to move a certain way that the younger women do. So they have more of like an advantage in that way, and it's kind of more, they're like more used to it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like girls. I mean, I agree with him with the generational thing. I don't feel like girls get as much shit from other girls for having or being with an older guy or talking to another guy.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like more of like the younger generation. For example, if it was an older woman, yeah, I feel like an older woman would give shit to the younger generation for doing something like that.
Well, you got to think about it like this though. Like the older women come from a time where like that was expected. You know what I'm saying?
That was like normal for them.
Yeah. So this is my personal opinion. I feel like the older generations, like that's expected. Like you know, like
But
if you look at like a grandmother.
what do you mean though? Like expected
Like most grandparents, like the guys
provides, right?
Well, yeah, he provides. I just remember like my mom's old school as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And like I just remember my mom like when she would talk to my sisters about getting married and shit. Like it was always about a guy who was older and making good money and like you know he's the man of the house type shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, and she comes from that type of time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I expect older women to expect their daughters to be with older men. I don't feel like if your parents are like born from like 1975 on, I don't expect that. But if it's like before 1975, I would probably expect that. Especially with grandparents for sure. Like I bet I bet like our grandparents definitely expected their kids, like their daughters, to marry older men for sure, or at least be with older men for sure, hands down. Like 10 years, 15 years for sure, hands down. I think with this younger generation, I think it's kind of a mix of both. I do think that there could be some girls who give other girls shit for seeing or talking to other guys. But I think overall, and again, I'm a guy, so I don't really know, but from the outside looking in, what I could assume, and just from what I've seen personally, is I feel like they give each other praise because it's like, it's like you have a body, you have a look, you're taking advantage of it, and I feel like with the younger generations, just as a side note, I feel like there's more of like an emphasis as like for women to like, how do I say this without sounding like a dick? I'm just gonna say it point blank, but but take shit from men. You know what I'm saying? Like stan culture, like yes, queen, like we stan you, queen, that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a woman like getting, going over the edge of a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like
like using what they like were given.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, you're right. It does depend on the generation.
Yeah.
And obviously the girls growing up are like around our age. So that's what I know. I'm not saying there's a huge age gap.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, from the time we graduated high school to the younger girls now, there's been like a pretty drastic change on how things work on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, we have OnlyFans where it's like a big example where girls are using their body, what they know they can use against the man, to get all this money. And a lot of these girls are cashing out big bucks on OnlyFans, like big bucks, like money you wouldn't see for like a good time.
Easily. And with the whole high school thing, that even brings me back to when I was younger, because I remember with the whole age thing was like your age didn't really necessarily matter when you're in high school, as long as like the person wasn't, even in some cases like the person could be 18, but like if you're 17 and you're like dating like a 15-year-old, I think that would be weird. But like if you're 17 and you're dating like a 22-year-old, like I wouldn't think that would be weird. You
18, 22, yeah, that
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
kind of like more common than it is.
But like if I was 17 and I knew a girl that was like 15 and she was hitting on me, like I couldn't do that shit. Like I just feel weird. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's all preference, I feel like. But going back to like the way of what's called about how you're talking about the guy providing and this new generation, I feel like that is still a standard in a way. But then like with the way you say the word providing, like to what standard do you hold that to?
You already fucking house, car, school.
I know, but that's the thing. That's like it's a different
food,
standard from this generation, from the old generation. It's completely different. Like, and I'm not saying all girls are kind of like this. And I'm not.
Are you saying like girls now are more go getters than before?
No. I'm not saying there's two different. I feel like there's more than two different type of women, obviously. But I feel like in the way this conversation is going, I feel like there's two different types. There's women that are kind of like I don't want to say like the standard of providing is extremely different than the standard of providing back then. Like providing back then was like, oh, he works, he brings food to the table, and he takes care of the kids. But now it's kind of like, oh, he buys you cars, he buys you things, you basically don't have to work a day of your life,
Yeah.
And then there's other girls that are like legit go-getters and more independent and actually don't need a guy, because there are those type of girls out there that just get their own bag.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There's like two different type, and then it's kind of like to the extreme, because like I feel like they're more independent now than they were back then, but there's other types of girls that are more dependent on the guy than they were back then as well.
Yeah.
No,
I feel you for sure.
I guess I just see it a little bit different because growing up in my houthousehold, since I have three older sisters I grew up with, I just always saw them as go-getters.
Yeah.
Same with my mom. My mom was a go-getter. She wasn't the type of person that was like fine just like being there, like just like the housewife. Even though for a portion of her life she was, obviously, because she had to like raise kids and help my dad and all that. When I got like a little bit older, I saw my sisters, I saw my mom always just be the go-getter, always go get the bread, go get the money, just like always out and about, just like getting their own, you know? So I guess for me, I kind of portray it and see it a little bit differently because I grew up with that instead of the traditional, all right, mom stays at home, sisters, you have to go look for a man that's going to provide for you fully and you just stay at home too. Because I don't see that. Like even now, like my sisters, they're still out working. They're still out go getting like their own money. Like they have their own projects that they're working for. Like they have their own goals that they're working for at the end of the day.
Yeah, I get that. But the thing is, like when I'm looking at it, I mean, my sisters are the exact same way. I mean, they have their own businesses. They're making their own money. And I'm pretty sure Sonny's sisters are the same way as well. The thing is, I'm not talking about our generation. I'm talking about like the generation after us, you know, the younger generation. That's why I feel like there's more of a, again, talking about OnlyFans, I feel like people like girls, I don't say like all girls, there's girls doing that instead of working real actual jobs, you know. So it's kind of like going towards it's a weird time, I'd say, for like how girls are getting jobs compared to, I mean, guys can have OnlyFans too, I guess.
Yeah, but we're not as successful because what person's gonna want to like, let's be real, what girl's really gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna pay $5 for a dick? No, she's gonna go to her Snapchat, her DMs, be like, all right, I want some dick today, let's hit up my DMs. No girl's gonna go because girls know it's easier for them to get dick than it is for guys to get pussy. Like, let's just be real. Like, this is just reality.
And we're going a little bit off topic here, but I'll say this though, and I hate when people try to fucking argue with me on this. Okay, I genuinely think there's no such thing as a hoe in terms of a guy. Genuinely being 100% honest, being a slut, being a hoe, I genuinely don't think. No, I'm being serious. I genuinely don't think I don't think that's a thing. But if you were to say that by definition, by someone who gets with multiple people, then yeah, you could say that. But is it the same thing? I don't think so. Like
so what is your definition of a hoe?
I mean, by definition, like there's definitely guys that are hoes, that are sluts. You know, like a hoe by definition, I think we all could agree is a person who sleeps with multiple people or gets with multiple people, right? Yeah. You know. Guys definitely do that all the time. No, you know, point blank. There's no, you know, controversy with that. There's no discussion on that, right?
I completely understand where you're coming from.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to like a female doing it compared to a guy doing it, is a completely different fucking ball game. Yeah, it's a completely different fucking ball game. Because, and I'm not saying like this is an excuse to like shame girls and shit. Like if a female wants to get some dick and shit, fuck around with things, like go ahead. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know, do you? Who gives a fuck? You know, like they shouldn't be shamed for that shit, but it's not the same. It's not the fucking same.
That's kind of going back to like the what's called going in high school, how you want to go with your teachers, and then again you'd get praise from your friends. Yeah, you get praise
like
from the guys.
There's like a double standard with that. Like I definitely see that for sure. But it's like like you said, like you just said, like if a girl wants dick, all she has to do go on Twitter, go on Snapchat or some shit and get dick. Like a girl literally could just post like, "Hey, I want some dick," and niggas are gonna be in them DMs. Niggas are in the DMs anyways. Like as a guy, like that doesn't happen for us. It doesn't happen for us. Like it doesn't happen like that. Like
unless you're like
unless you're really attractive you see or have a lot of or have a lot of clout and shit or both. Like it just doesn't happen. But like if you're just an average everyday girl, like it happens to an extent. You get what I'm saying? Like my whole thing, what I'm trying to say is if when it comes to you getting what you want, right? Like a guy has to go out there. It's a cat and mouse game. You have to go out there. If you want to eat as a male, you got to go out and eat. Like you got to hunt. You got to go hunt. You literally have to go hunt. I know that sounds predatory. No, but like you gotta work up your game. You gotta know how to talk. You gotta know how to dress. You gotta know how to look good, smell good. You know,
smell
you gotta
good.
get a whip.
Make sure your money's up. You gotta make sure
you have so many things that you gotta be on top of if you want to get women, especially like top tier, like grade A, S tier pussy and shit. S tier.
There's tiers to this guy just now. Objectifying women left and right.
No, but
hey, we know where your mindset's at, bro. No, hey, Sonny's girl's gonna listen to this. She's gonna kill you, bro.
I love my girl.
Kill you. You're gonna sleep on the couch tonight,
no,
bro.
But this is just being a guy and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just being human and shit. But like, if you are a guy and you want to get like at least girls, you have to put an effort in. Like
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
I'm trying to say at the end of the day.
Heavily.
You have to put effort in. Like you can't just like wake up and expect girls to be in your DMs. As an average guy, you can't. But with a girl, you could.
Yeah.
Maybe one and maybe two. But at least there's like guys trying to hit you up.
Yeah.
But with females, it's not like that. They are the mouse. There's always going to be, whether they're ugly, poor, or not, you know, or rich or whatever, there's always going to be attention coming their way as the average
Yeah.
girl. If you're a cute girl, there's always going to be something coming your way.
That's true.
That's just how we are. We're guys. Because like I said, if we are the ones that are going out there on the hunt and then you're the mouse, you naturally are going to be hunted.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
if you look at a club, right? Like you look at a club, like, or you go to a party, what's the majority of people there? It's going to be
the
guys.
Yep.
That's why they have bouncers. That's why they have a guy to girl ratio and shit. That's why if you
So the
want
girls getting free.
that's why girls getting free, get
It's
the
a-
free
it's a
drinks and
tactic.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's what pisses me off when I hear females saying like, "Oh no, it's exactly the same." No, it's fucking not, and it's not the fucking same thing. I'm not saying you should be treated any different. I'm not saying there should be a double standard, even though there is. I get that, but it's not the same thing. Like, and you know, it's not the same thing.
No, but I can back up on that because I remember I hung out with this one girl at one time, right? And jokingly, she opened her DMs. I'm like, yo, why you got so many messages? She's like, you know, I don't even know because I'm not even that good looking. And she just scrolled. Just kept
Down.
scrolling.
Just
And I
niggas.
was like, yo, I know a bunch of these people.
yeah,
I know a bunch
Oh, yeah,
of
I
these
remember you told me
people.
this shit, yeah,
I was like, yo, this is crazy.
yeah.
And I'm like, but she's a pretty good looking girl. Like she really
Yeah.
was. She just didn't think that herself. But that's the crazy thing. Like a lot of girls have self like doubt issues, but they
Mhm.
get like, they still get hit up because they don't think they're that good looking, but they really are.
Yeah.
But it's just proving your fact. Like
Your
I
point.
know a lot of girls that have like pulled up their phones and they just have a bunch of DMs from a bunch of guys, and they don't really have to do anything. All they got to do is like post a cute pic with a filter
Yeah.
or like a caption or something. Boom, bunch of guys just in their DMs for no
Easily.
reason.
I mean, and I think, you know, what since we're like talking about like dating and relationships and everything, I think the girls definitely held themselves to a standard.
Oh yeah,
But just from my personal experiences, like when living with them in a house full of them, and you know, talking to like, you know, my girl and like my friends that are girls, I think that, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm a guy, but just from my perception of things, I feel like a lot of it is they hold themselves to a standard,
yeah,
but it is off the standard of each other. It's not necessarily off the standard of guys, but a lot of them may think it's off the standard of guys. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
yeah.
but there's obviously exceptions.
right, for sure. And I definitely think like, I mean, for sure, like there isn't like, I'm sure there is like a standard that guys hold women to accountable for sure. And but I feel like women hold, like when women hold men to a standard, it's so much higher than what men actually hold women a standard to. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get that.
Like if a guy wants to be with a female and shit, like she really just has to be bad. Like, you know, if you look good with makeup, fine. If you look good without makeup, fine. Shit. Even if you don't look good without makeup, fine. Like I know how to do that. I know niggas that would do that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
but like with females and shit, especially if you want to get the right ones, it's like, you know, there's the job, there's the education, there's the whip, there's the house, there's like where you're gonna be in 5 years. Like there's a whole bunch of, you know, standards and shit. But in comparison for that standard that women have for each other, that I think they put onto each other, I think it's more of like the body image, and I think it's more of like, you know, like the hair and the makeup and shit like that. Like, for example, like the magazine shit, right? Like a lot
Yeah.
of girls don't like how magazines Photoshop, you know, the Kim Kardashians and Bella Hadid and shit like that. Like they don't look like real girls and shit. But it's
Yeah.
like, I think about it and I'm like, L'Oreal and, you know, like all these like women products and stuff, like a lot of them are like led by women. Like they're brand ambassadors and shit. Like the
Yeah.
people who are telling them to Photoshop all this shit is women and shit.
yeah,
But that's a side note. But going back to like the age thing though, I just wonder when it was that they decided, like as a society, that we should start, you know, implementing like the 18 rule.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you asked earlier, you're like, when did, you know, 18 become like the age? I
Yeah.
know 18 became the age with voting because of like the Vietnam War. And I think that's like around the time where 18 just became like the standard.
The standard age.
Yeah, the standard age, because the whole argument was, if we're going to war to die, then we should be able to vote at the age of 18, right?
Yeah, that was in 1971
Yeah.
for the 26th Amendment.
It's weird to think about, like, going back to, because I've been to like a lot of kind of like weddings during high school. Have you ever been to a high school wedding?
A high school
No,
wedding?
Yeah. I've been to
never.
like 2 or 3.
Like niggas that are in high school and they're married?
No. They like this, like, yeah, it's kind of like that. They're like 16, 15 years old getting married at that age.
Oh no.
You never been to
I
that? Have you ever heard of that?
I know a girl
No.
when I got graduated when
I
she
know who
watched
you're
and got,
talking
got her
about,
diploma.
yeah.
She showed off her wedding ring or at least engagement ring. I knew that.
No, but
But-
I've seen like I've been to a wedding when they were in high school and they got married.
That's
that
way
not a, is
too
that, is that
young.
not a thing?
What?
Is that not a thing?
I
You
mean,
get
Nick,
married?
you asking us, and we live in Utah, and we still don't know about that shit.
Okay,
I
I
tell-
don't know.
that's telling you something.
I've heard
I
of
thought-
this, but I've never seen it or
I
gone
thought
to
it'd be
it.
more of not a natural thing, but like a more like recurring thing, like more common than not. I don't know. That's I've
I
seen
mean, and
it.
probably if you go to like Payson and shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go to like the FLDS communities and
Yeah,
stuff,
I'm
you
not
know?
saying that's good. I'm not saying that's good. I mean, at that age, you're extremely young.
Mm.
I wouldn't do it. But,
Fuck no. And I think that's a huge thing about I think like the age difference also, like, well, as we've been talking about like sugar daddies and babies and women and, you know, cat and mouse and all this shit, like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that kind of stems back to, because I know we went off topic, but
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that stems back to like the age difference. Like,
Yeah.
there was a time where there was like the traditional nuclear family, like there's a
Mhm.
man who's so much years older than the woman, and
Yeah.
she stays home and she cooks and she cleans and stuff like that. And I just like, I feel like a lot of these things kind of like implemented or became ever since that kind of changed.
Yeah.
Like I just really wonder when that started changing. Like, you know,
I don't think there's ever like a time we can pinpoint it, but I just know when I was a young kid, I would see in movies like the older traditional couple, you know, like older man, younger-ish woman.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that growing up as a kid, like in shows and movies and stuff.
Mhm.
And for me, I think it was like when I was early, like around 2000, I want to say early 2000s, where a lot of people, like, I don't want to say like that's when it first started, but like at least in my life, that's when I started seeing like shows and like movies and stuff transition more like same age marriage
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At least from what I remember. Because you got to remember, we were born in the 90s. We didn't live in the 90s for so long, but like as little kids, we were still influenced by like movies from the 90s and 80s.
Mm.
So it's like that there's obviously a transition from like 80s, 90s to early 2000s even till now.
Mhm.
That a lot of people like are looking at this and they're looking at media, because if you think about it, media is a big correlation to the year, obviously. And in the 80s, when you were looking at dating, it was fine, you know, older
Mhm.
man, younger woman. But now if you see that, that's weird as hell.
yeah,
That's
Well,
so
I don't
weird.
even know in the 80s. I feel like that would have been weird in the 80s.
Yeah.
I feel like it was still normal up and probably up until like the 60s ish. I would probably say that starts with like
60s
late
and 70s.
like 60s and like late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
Because a lot of like the social fabric of the United States changed in the 60s and 70s. Like you have to think about it. Like the 60s and 70s, there was the Vietnam War, there was women's suffrage, like the second round of feminism. There was the civil rights movement. There was like the Fair Housing Act and everything. Like there was a lot of social change that happened in the 60s and 70s. So I feel like even our perception of the government changed in the 60s and 70s due to the Vietnam
Yeah.
War. Like a lot of people don't realize up until that point, like everybody believed what the government said. Anytime the government said anything, people were like, okay, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until Vietnam when the government started lying about things that people realized that the government wasn't as truthful as it was. And so like this huge wave of like anti-establishment, you know, against the machine, you know, started to become a thing. And now you see that all the time. That's like the total norm now. Anyway, my point is, it's like there was a lot of social change that happened in those 20 years, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably when it started changing. And I also think it wouldn't surprise me too with women's suffrage, like the second round. I shouldn't call it women's suffrage. That was like the 20s, but the second round of feminism, I think that was probably, in my opinion, from what I'm assuming, is probably when it changed because, you know, I don't think a lot of women wanted to get married at such a young age, like especially to an older guy that I'm sure you're not really that close to.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I doubt, like, what's a 16-year-old girl and a guy who's 43 have in common? Like, what are they
Nothing.
going to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And just a side note off that, like a 16 and 17 and even 18-year-old girl, sometimes even a 19-year-old girl doesn't really know what she wants.
Yeah.
Hell
And
no.
it
Yeah.
just puts them in the situation where the older guy is really kind of just taking advantage of them because they know how to manipulate them.
I
to a
wonder
certain
why.
extent.
I wonder why. Like, why younger girls are so appealing to like men.
Well,
Like even throughout history, and that's everywhere
Yeah.
in the world throughout history. It's always been older men with younger women. I've always wondered.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why, but I don't know. For me, it's personally just wrong. Like, if you're, I don't know. For me, especially now that I'm 24, I just wouldn't go anything under 21. That, for me, that's just weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like they're barely getting to know life. Two, it's kind of they don't know what what they want in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, some girls they might, but I feel like the majority, and as guys too. I mean, we don't know what we want at the age of 18.
Yeah.
We're still trying to get up on our feet and try to figure out what we want. So I mean, just young people in general, depending on how I wouldn't say educated, but how if they have a set plan. I mean, that's attractive. You know, if you know what you're doing, that's very attractive. So you can change people's minds in a way. But knowing like how majority of the younger generation is, or just being young in general, it's kind of like
I think now that you said that, I think that's probably what it is. I think younger women are more like malleable, and they're more easy to like control and manipulate, and you know, it's easier for them to like listen to you. Like I feel like men were a lot more like alpha and like just like selfish and narcissistic back then, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the man in the house, like suck my dick, make my food type shit, you know what I mean? Like literally. So like I think women when they're younger, like I think one, like it's a body thing too, like if they're younger or like if they're virgins, I think back then they probably thought that it was more, I don't want to say ripe, that's not the word.
Well, it's like
I don't want to say ripe.
I know where you're going to. It's like what you were saying that one time about the fact about Gandhi, you know? How older men, like for example, Gandhi, like what you were saying before, a lot of people didn't know, but Gandhi slept with his niece.
He didn't actually fuck her, but
not
he
like
slept
fuck her,
in the
but
same
like
bed
exactly naked.
They'll be
and
naked.
for some reason, they thought that would keep them young. I don't know if that's subconsciously for some guys. That's like the same thing. Like they don't want to get older, so they still get at younger girls.
Well, I think that younger girls, I think generally just because they may be tighter, and I think just like younger just means like, you know what I'm saying? Like ripe isn't the word because that's rude, but like they're just like more prone to having children, you know what I'm saying, than an older woman and stuff like that. Like that's the age that you would want of like biologically, I'm assuming, a girl to get pregnant, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and again, I also think it's easier for them to control. Like even the girl that we're, you know, with, you know, speaking about on Omegle, she was even saying like girls who, and they'll see this soon, but girls who find themselves in relationships with older men will find that the men are very controlling. Yeah. And that's what I think. It takes a certain kind of guy to be with, who would want to be with a girl that young.
And another thing is kind of like, for a guy, I'm like getting at somebody that young, be like, hey, yeah, I still got it, even though I'm this old, you know? So definitely. It feeds their ego in a way. So I can see it. I can see that.
I just wonder why, you know, like with older women with younger guys. I just wonder. I feel like women are the exact opposite.
Who is the oldest woman you've gone with?
Should we get into this?
Shit.
We're talking about age difference.
I don't know if we should get into this.
Well,
I don't know if we should get into this though.
I'll say front and foremost, I've never been with a. Well, I have been with a mom actually, but not like a MILF though. But like, just that's the thing. If you're like under 26 and you have a kid, you're not a fucking MILF. You're just a hoe with a kid.
Why you calling out these hoes? I thought you said what's wrong with a hoe though? What's up? Now you're going back on your word. Now you're going back on your word.
No,
he's like, cut that out.
He's like, no.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but for real though, you're just a kid with a kid. A MILF is like you're like 29 or whatever, and you have a kid or whatever. But
that's
anyway,
the cut.
I think so. What a definition as a MILF would be, because my thing is, I'll answer your question in a second, but one of the things that bothers me is when I see a girl that's like around my age, like calling herself a MILF. Like, you're not a fucking MILF. Like, the whole point of being a MILF is that, like, you have mileage on you. You've been through the trenches. Like, you have kids. You have a marriage.
Like, your son objectifying.
No. But I'm just saying, but, like, you still, through all of that, still look like a snack. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of women, like, after they have children and families and stuff, like, no fault of their own, but they, like, let's loosen up a little bit. Like, both people do. Both, like, husbands and wives kind of loosen up a little bit with their parents. Because you're married and you have kids. Who are you trying to impress, you know?
Yeah.
Is a MILF the same thing as a cougar?
Yeah.
Yeah? You think so? Because I feel like cougars are more like of an older woman.
Well, no. I think the difference between a MILF and a cougar is just a MILF is just an attractive older woman who has kids. You have to have kids. A cougar is an older, attractive woman who goes after younger men. You have to go after younger men. Because I know plenty of MILFs, but I don't know if they go after younger men.
So the cougar is an older woman that goes at.
Yeah, a cougar. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you have to go. You have to be in the. You have to go for it. But I don't think not all MILFs go for it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying?
I see that.
Yeah.
I see
But I think the oldest I've been in. You guys answer first. Let
that. Ephraim's trying to run from this.
Don't talk to me about it.
Oh my gosh, we still don't know about Ephraim, bro.
Yo,
I
chill.
know.
Chill.
He keeps it a
I think-
secret.
Let's just be real. Older women love me. I don't know why.
I know. I think the oldest that I've been with has probably been like 25 when I was 20, 25 when I was 20.
So 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Which fucking sucks.
Why?
Because, bro, like
He
this
just gave the
nigga-
description.
No, because remember when this nigga was fucking that one milk, bro, when we was like fucking. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a child of God.
No, I remember, bro, when this nigga was like a fucking junior, fucking that MILF. She had like a full on
Oh
fucking
my
husband and shit, and kids and
We're
shit.
just
Hey,
throwing
remember
Ray
that
under the
shit, bro?
bridge.
I remember this nigga.
Thanks for throwing Ray under the bridge.
Okay.
No, but that was a long ass time
yeah,
ago.
that was a
though.
long time ago.
But you
I
remember
didn't,
that
I
shit?
didn't know she had a kid.
That's
though.
when you were
no,
wild
She had
young
3
back
kids.
She had 3 kids,
I
a
had
whole
no
ass
idea.
husband and shit, like
I had
having
no
an
idea.
affair and shit.
Just legit. I was
Damn.
16.
Yeah.
Damn
I
it,
was
Ray.
16.
Home wrecker.
It
He was
wasn't
like
my-
a
it was my
sophomore.
fault.
He was like a sophomore, junior, bro, and she was like what? Like had to be like in her mid to late 30s.
She knew what she was doing.
No, she knew what she was doing. She
She took
didn't know
advantage
Ray.
of me.
Yo, no, dead ass though. Because I remember after all that
Yeah.
shit ended, you're like, bro, did you know that she had like? And
Oh,
I'm like,
I didn't know. Shit.
No,
like,
yeah,
he genuinely
right.
was surprised. Like
Yeah,
he had
he
no
was.
idea. She
like
kept
we
all that from
legit
him.
talked and we like got together, and after we got together, she's like, "Hey, I have a secret to tell you." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, don't tell me she got like some STDs or some shit. I was fucking scared. And
She has
like,
fucking HIV.
no, right? I was hella scared. And then she's like, "I have kids." I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like it kind of like it didn't get me scared.
Yeah.
Like, cause it kind of like I was still scared. Cause like I don't want
Because
to
she
have
said,
a kid.
"I have."
And then she's like, "Fuck it." It was a weird situation.
Is she the oldest though
This
for
guy,
you?
bro.
No, I think it's the oldest. No, I think she was the oldest. I think she was 10 years older than me. She's like, I was
Yeah,
like
because you were like
16,
16 or 17.
yeah, she was like
This
26
guy,
or
bro.
27.
Damn.
This guy.
What about you?
We're not getting into
Nah, nigga.
Nah, bro, I keep my shit on lock.
Nah,
That's all I'm saying.
nigga, you're not giving away any names. Don't be a pussy, bro. Come
Yeah,
on,
bro, I
say
didn't
your
give out any-
shit.
any
Oh,
names?
bro.
Nigga, I'm saying my
Oh.
shit. My girl's gonna watch this shit, nigga. Put
Uh.
yourself on the line, nigga.
Shit.
Say your shit. All you gotta say is an
Alright.
age.
For me, it was when I was 21.
Uh,
She was 32.
Oh my
Ooh.
god.
and he's still I know what a freaking
What a fucking
Fuck
slut.
I'm that slut. I'm the definition.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, I think with the age and everything, as long as you care about the person and both parties agree, as long as you guys are both of age, 18 and older,
Yeah.
you both agree, bada bing, bada boom, like you're straight. Doesn't matter if it's like, you could be 18 dating someone who's 42, as long as that nigga respects you or she respects you, you're good, you're Gucci.
as long as you know where you're going, like you put, like you know where you're gonna go through, and if that's good or whether that's good or bad, as long as you like you have a good mindset to it. I mean, I feel like everything's.
I
Gonna
mean,
turn
at
well.
the end, yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it's like it's not my relationship. I
Yeah.
have no say into it. The only time I'll ever say something is if one person is either not consenting or is underage.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
that's when there's a problem. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, if 2 dudes can butt fuck each other or fucking shit, not to say there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, if you could,
Yeah.
like that, do whatever you want. It's 2020.
For me, it's if you're a guy, don't go under 18.
Yeah, just
Don't even go under-
don't be
Like if you're in your
Attempts.
20s, don't even go under
Oh, yeah.
19.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it's just weird when I don't know. I just, maybe because I'm young and it's like, it's normal for me to be around young people, but I don't know. Just don't, I couldn't
Don't
go
do
younger. Like if I was in a relationship right now, I couldn't go any younger than 21. And
Yeah,
I'm 22.
21's like my cutoff.
I don't like being with younger women. So
It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be good.
All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think in the comment.
like and subscribe. Oh, I always wanted to say that.
Hey, there we go.
Oh,
Let's
shit.
go.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of Undecided. My name's
My
Ephraim.
name's Ray.
And I'm Sunny.
Peace.
Oh, one more thing. Tomorrow's Hitler's birthday.
Oh.
Oh, all right.